Why, thank you for such an auspicious welcome as always. Welcome to the Voice Over the Day audio podcast. I'm your host, D. Foster III, CEO and President of Wake Up Global Networks International. You know the spill at the beginning. Smash the like, share, subscribe, follow, support this channel. Shout out to owner and operator April J, always giving us a voice on this platform. Before we get started in today's spill, I want to ask you, have you checked out our Friday The Voice Over Now podcast upload? If not, welcome to the replay crew. Go back and watch it. We talk about with a parent, Jared Boyd. We discuss his feelings about this new cell phone ban in most schools and how it will affect the parent relationship with the student. And we go into depth. So check that out. And have you watched us every Sunday morning on the Voice of Hope Connection, where we give you an inspirational word right here on this channel, WPB Media. Everything is right here on this platform. We believe in it. We support it wholeheartedly. And if you have a message, if you have a calling to speak truth to power, of course, we encourage you to check out being a part of this wonderful network. Now, I want to talk today. As you know, we just are the podcast with an eye on the culture, discussing relevant issues on Wednesday, trending topics, and I'll do my thorough investigative journalism, and I bring you straight no chaser, my opinion on the subject that we are discussing. Today's conversation, away with the one-way rule. Now, a lot of you are going to be like some of the characters and some of the people I'm going to discuss in this topic of conversation. You're going to be very peeved. You're going to be very ticked at me, because what I'm going to discuss today is a very, very controversial subject, but I feel very strong about what I'm going to say. I have been sitting on this topic for almost a year, trying to think of the right time to bring it up. And now is the right time to bring it up and to address this issue that I say away with the one-way rule. It can't be one way. It can't only be one way, and it just can't be your way if we're in some kind of relationship. Now, what am I talking about? As if Ward 8 with its council person Trayon White is not having enough problems, there's another issue, and I'm going to read from WSA Television 9 article, but I'm going to give you my comment. Now, the article talks about the closing of a school, but I'm going to talk about the effects of those who work at the school. It starts off, they were heartless. Students search for new school, adults new jobs after Eagle Academy closes for good. The DC Public Charter School Board approved the Eagles charter despite mismanagement of funds and tried to correct the problem too late. Now watch this. This is the part. This is the part. Just days before the start of school, just days, I want you to get that, just days before the start of school, hundreds of DC families are scrambling to find a new school for their children after their charter school closed its doors. Now, this is in Ward 8. Trayon White is already indicted, has been indicted. He's waiting trial on the 19th of this month. And it's as Ward 8 doesn't have enough problems, here comes another problem with a sudden closed charter school, but worst off without any council representation. But anyway, that's not the subject of my discussion. The DC public school closed its doors, and because of, now this is according to the article, years of financial mismanagement, low enrollment at the academy forced them to make this decision. The public charter school board requires schools to have at least 45 days of cash on hand to be viable. Anything less than 30 days, they say, is a cause for concern. Still, the board failed to act when a January audit found Eagle Academy was operating with 23 days of cash on hand. And guess what? By June, the school only had 6 days of cash, according to this article, on hand. By the time the Public Charter School Board and Eagle Academy Board tried to stop the bleeding, it was too late. Now watch this. I'm still reading. Parents and children have been left to find a new school, and school staff left to find a new job. This article is the 22nd of August, just days before school opens. Now, the horrific truth of the matter is, it is a shame that parents prepare for school months in advance, buy uniforms according to the school, and children ready to reconnect with their friends are suddenly left out in the cold. But here's what I want to talk about: away with the one-way rule. Let me repeat. Parents and children have been left to find a new school. Here it is, and school staff left to find new jobs. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to read this article, yes, the issue with the school closing, and I'm going to deal with that probably in another podcast in depth. And it talks about mismanagement. It talks about poor leadership. But today I want to talk about this one part, and school staff left to find new jobs. Now, for years, I've been griping over the 2-week notice rule, the one-way rule. In other words, most jobs require at least a 2-week minimum notice if you're planning to depart. Now, I don't know why that rule was set up. I think it just gives the job probably opportunity to train someone or to find someone to replace you. In most jobs, if you are salaried, it requires a 30-day notice. Okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But what I have a problem with is that it's a one-way rule. What do you mean defaults to 3? Yeah, like, share, subscribe, follow. I told you many of you are going to be ticked off, especially if you own a business, especially if you're in a management position, because you don't see my point in this. But I see my point in this, and I see workers' point, and I see these staff members at Eagle Academy's point. Because most of the time when the job or the corporation gets ready to make a decision, it's not usually a 2-week rule. In other words, when people get fired, they don't usually say, I'm going to terminate you. You have 2 weeks to work here. They usually walk in, their staff, HR, security, and say, clean out your desk. Effective immediately, you are terminated, right? And so, I'm not giving the cause. It may be justified. It may be unjustified. Or you are suspended without pay until further investigation. Still, it affects your income. It affects your livelihood. But nobody cares about that. But when it comes to the company, they say, could you please give us a 2-week notice? And if you don't give them a 2-week notice, they're not viable for a reference. They won't give you a good reference. They say, well, they left without no. But wait a minute. It's time to get away from the one-way rule. But if you terminate somebody, or if you close down without notice and people are scrambling, of course, these staff had no way of knowing. They were shocked also. They have to scramble. They have mortgages to pay. They have rent to pay. You didn't give them a 2-week. Of course, they knew the school was in trouble, but from all intents and purposes, they were told at the meeting, and I didn't go into the depth of the articles. I'm not talking about the closing of the school in this podcast. I'm talking about the one-way rule has to go. But they have to scramble. They have mortgages to pay. They have tuitions to pay probably. They have expenses to pay. And now they have to scramble for a job. What I did not read in the article is that the school assisted them in finding employment, even though there's a whole vetting process and background checks. And even at that, it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks. And most people in America cannot go 2 to 3 weeks without, or 2 to 3 pay periods without getting paid. But yet we still stick with this one-way rule. We got to get rid of this one-way rule. If you can terminate, if you can lay off, if you can close down without notice and leave people scrambling, how is it fair that people are mandatory to give you at least a 2-week notice? And if not, you scar their reputation. You're not a good job reference, though they've been faithful to you and they showed up for work on time. It's just that an opportunity came, right? You may say that's not ethical. Well, it's still not ethical to let a person go unless it is egregious, okay? If it's sexual abuse, if it's some kind of grand theft larceny, okay, I agree. But just because you mismanage your company and you could not maintain financial viability, then you leave staff, teachers, maintenance, etc., scrambling to find a way to survive. I am vehemently, and let it be known for the record, I am vehemently against this 2-week rule policy. It has always been, in my opinion, a double standard. And I know you disagree with it for reasons like this, because it's always at the behest of the corporation. It's always for the best interest of the company. The fact that you have a car note, Eagle Academy employees, bunk the fact that you may have children in school that you needed to pay their tuition, bunk the fact that you have a mortgage living in high behind DC, bunk the fact that you have insurances to pay, and bunk the fact that now your health care coverage may be at stake. But that's okay, because it's always about the corporation. It's always about the big businesses. That's why you see hotels beginning to picket, and you see other airlines beginning to strike, because people are saying across the nation, and I'm speaking that you haven't seen anything yet, that we want to be treated fair. It's not. Without us, you make no money. We are the laborers. We fly the planes. We greet the passengers. We clean the planes. You sitting in the ivory towers in United don't know anything about that, and yet it's all about the corporation. Well, I'm telling you, that is about to change, and I am for it. And I believe this. Now, this is just my opinion. It is not the opinion of this platform, perhaps, but if you get a better job with better pay, and they say you must come in the next 7 days or 14 days, which may be without the boundaries of what your current company requires in order to get proper notice, I say take it. Yeah, absolutely. Do what? Yes, take it. Feed your family. Yes, pay your rent. Pay your mortgage. I mean, if it's all possible to give them a 2-week notice, I mean, fine if you want to do that. But I have a spiritual reason behind that anyway, that I am adamantly against that, because I believe when a person's heart is not there, they're not there, and you have to do your job. So you tell me to hang around for 2 weeks so you can perhaps find somebody to train, or you can have control. Which one is? Did I say like that? I told you this is going to be very controversial. I have a passion for what I'm talking about today, especially because I have living color in the article that I read you from Channel 9 in DC, that corporations are mostly heartless when it comes to protecting everybody but themselves. And I think that people, workers, laborers in America are finally beginning to realize, in the words of Michael Jackson's song, they don't really care about us. They care about profit, and they care about them. I'm going to drop this. I'm no way near finished this subject. And I want to follow up on the story. I would love to interview one of the staff. I would love to see what their future looked like. I'm going to go into depth in this subject. First of all, parents scrambling. Did you not care? I mean, yeah, there were signs, but they were told everything would be okay. They were told, chill out. Don't get your feathers ruffled. Don't get your panties in a bunch. We got this. We're making the necessary changes, only to announce last week that we're shutting down. We lost our charter because of mismanagement. One of the reasons, mismanagement of finances. And I'm going to get into this article. But the purpose of this particular podcast, the Voice Over Today audio podcast, is to say away with the one-way rule. Did you hear me? It should be a protest. Hashtag it, away with the one-way rule. If you can get rid of me for any good or not good reason at the drop of a hat, I should be able to tell you at the drop of the hat, today is my last day. Get over it. That's what the teachers and the staff, get over it, corporation. You can hire somebody. You got more money than the individual that's leaving. I mean, it may put you through a little inconvenience. Oh, that's the problem. Your company must run on, but people's lives have to stop Oh no, away. I want to hear from you. The voice over the globe at gmail.com. The voice over the globe at gmail.com. So I don't pity corporations when people leave. I know you're not going to get a good reference, but maybe you won't need a reference from them. That's what they hold over your head. You can work there for 25 years and say, I'm leaving for a better job, or I'm quitting for personal reasons. And because you didn't give them or follow their one-way rule, they say away with you. I'm not for it. All right, I want to say thank you. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow, leave your comments. The voice over the globe at gmail.com. Until Friday, this is D Foster 3 reminding you, you got a voice, y'all. Keep using it. Peace.